as time flies by, you'll open up your eyes wide. You feel it's gonna go your way. Hey, hey, it's a brand new day. Hey, 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 it's a brand new day.
Hello again, Marbella. It's Amanda here again, courtesy of Nicole King and Marbella Now TV. And hello to you all. And I'm actually quite glad I've got my notes with me here so I can fan myself off a little bit after listening to James talking about his orchids and their the sex life of the orchid, which was absolutely fascinating and slightly steamy. I think you'll agree with me. The sort of thing that I should be used to. So, as I said, I fanned myself off after that. Now, I've got a problem here to talk to you about, which is actually quite relevant to some things that are going to be going on the show during this week. And Mrs. Smith has written to me with a problem which is actually very, very common, incredibly so, and has become more and more in the public eye over the last few years, and is actually something that I suffer from myself to a large degree, and that's sleeplessness. Now, we're not talking about 1 or 2 nights every 3 months that you can't sleep, or you're worried about something and you can't sleep. She's actually, her body clock is almost tuned to that of an owl, like the saying night owl, morning lark, and her husband's is not. And she finds it very, very difficult to get to sleep. Occasionally she has a good night's sleep. Most of the time she works her life around her sleep patterns and ends up sleeping from about 5 o'clock in the morning and then gets up at about midday, 1 o'clock. So that interferes a lot with her social life, with her relationships, and it's interfering very much so with her relationship with her husband. Now, not sleeping can be down to many, many reasons, and there are many ways of helping with it that are non-medical. I think one of the first things you can do if you are suffering from extreme insomnia is do go to your doctor, go to your GP and explain. Not necessarily to take sleeping tablets, but to investigate any areas that may be causing that for you, that might be physical rather than emotional or lifestyle based. And when I say lifestyle based, there are many, many things we do that really do interrupt our sleep patterns and stop us sleeping properly. Among them smoking, of which I'm guilty, drinking. Alcohol in a very small amount can actually aid sleep. In a larger amount, i.e. 6 cocktails, it might get you off to sleep, but it won't keep you asleep. You'll wake up and have disturbed nights. Eating late at night, caffeine, all the obvious things. Watching exciting, mad, crash-bang films on television. Computer games, lights in the bedroom, all this sort of thing affect how we sleep. Most of us know about the effects of melatonin and light and how that affects our body clock and how we've got this natural clock built into us physically to help us sleep or not to sleep. But to get back to Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Now, one of the things that's happened is that Mr. and Mrs. Smith, in order that Mr. Smith can get some sleep, because Mrs. Smith is reading and tossing and turning and getting up and down, is that they've started sleeping in separate bedrooms. Now, this is one thing which occasionally, if Mr. Smith is desperate for a night's sleep, is totally understandable. Mrs. Smith's sleep is worse because she's worried about keeping him awake. He's got an important business meeting the next day. It's very awkward. It makes it harder for him and harder for her. So he goes in the spare room. They're fortunate enough to have a spare room, or on the sofa if you don't have a spare room. Now, that occasionally is okay, but I don't think that's a good long-term habit for the Smiths to get into. Sleeping together, and I'm not talking about anything intimate, just the act of sleeping together is in itself an intimate thing. It's a thing that promotes closeness. You're next to somebody, your body's touching theirs. It promotes that bond between you. Husband and wife, children coming into bed with mums and dads. Sleeping together is important, and especially for a couple, because it's that time, first thing in the morning and last thing at the night, that you want to be with the person that you love. So I've advised Mrs. Smith not to make a habit of this, but also to go and get some help. go to her doctor, but also look at other things. Hypnotherapy, relaxation techniques. There's a relaxation technique I was taught where you gradually relax each muscle from the feet upwards very, very, very slowly. I haven't got time to go into it properly now. Hopefully one day we'll do a relaxation session and I can show you some of the tricks that I've learned and been taught over the years to help me with my sleep problems. And later on, I think Nicole's going to be looking at yoga and some of the relaxation benefits that can be had from that. If you have problems sleeping and you have any ways that you cope with it, please contact us and let us know. But in the meantime, we wish Mr. and Mrs. Smith the best of luck. And I said, do sleep together, share the bed, even if you're not sleeping properly, as often as you can, because the closeness of the relationship is the most important thing. Anyway, that's that from me for now, and I will be speaking to you again soon. Have a great week, Marbella, and thank you very much. Goodbye from Amanda.
Hello, I am just rushing in after I've been to the hospital with Romy. As Nicole has said, Romy had had an operation on her knee and she had to go for control today. And at the moment everything is really, really good. She just needs revalidation for a long time, but she will be fine. And then the second leg will be operated as well. So we'll be taking care of Romy for a long time, but then she will be wonderful and will be walking and will be available for adoption. But in the meantime, I wanted to show you this tiny little one. This is a little shepherd mix. Her name is Brandy. She's a little girl and she's very quiet right now. She's very skinny a little bit. She came in with 4 other ones. They are much bigger. So I think this is the runt of the litter. She's the smallest of the 5. They're all beautiful, beautiful shepherd mix pups. They, of course, as most of our dogs, were found in a cardboard box next to the garbage in the San Pedro Poligono. So somebody there has a mother who's without her pups and is not sterilized. This again, I cannot iterate this more than enough, that it is so necessary to sterilize the dogs, because first of all it is so much healthier for the dog itself, because they will have less chance on cancer, mammal cancer or teal bell cancer for the boys, and we will not get stuck with unwanted puppies. I mean, there are already so many dogs in AAA at the moment, and in any other shelter, they're overfull. And still, people do not sterilize their dogs and throw away the puppies. So please, if you see anybody with an unsterilized dog, talk to them. Tell them it's better for the dog. It's better for the health. It's better for everybody all around. And better for those tiny little ones that are now in a shelter, 5 of them again, and hoping to find a loving home. Because all our dogs, of course, will be taken care of. They will be looked at medically, they will be chipped, they get a passport, etc., etc. So please, if you want to adopt a dog, don't go buy one, but come to AAA. We have many dogs, and as you can see, tiny ones, baby ones, big ones, old ones, all kinds of dogs that are looking for a loving home. So if you have the time and a chance to adopt a dog and to get some love into your home, please come to AAA, look on the website, choose one of the doggies that appeals to you, write down the name, come to us, and you can see the dogs by themselves and see if it might be a click and a new one for your family. So again, this is Brandy. She is up for adoption as soon as she's rid of the little parasites that are inside her, which most puppies do have. And then her 4 little brothers and sisters who are slightly larger. They're all on the website. If you're interested in getting a larger dog, but adopt it as a puppy, then please come adopt Brandy or any of her sisters. And I will see you next week with another doggy, and I hope I'll have good news that this one might have been adopted. Thank you, and I'll see you soon.
Hey, hey.
Hello Marbella, it's Amanda again, and I'm here not with a problem today, but to talk about something which I found fascinating and is actually related to me and my life. And it's something that Nicole was touching on in an earlier section about social media and the negative aspects of it, with children sexting and sending out photographs and things like that on the net, and how once you put something on the internet, it's there forever. You can't take it off most of the time. But I'm going to talk about what I think is a rather lovely story connected with social media and Facebook in particular. and it's something that's personal to me because it's to do with my husband's family. Now, many years ago, there was a gentleman who was in 1914, joined the army and was a sergeant in the First World War and was awarded certain medals for bravery, very important medals. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but I went to the First World War as a very young man. After the First World War, he got married and he had children from his first wife who died, and then children from his second wife. Now, as the years went on, he became very disillusioned with the idea of war, and during the Second World War, he was actually a pacifist and refused to sign up, and instead, in Liverpool, took on the very dangerous job of being a fireman. And you can imagine in Liverpool in the Second World War, the port, the bombings, it was a very dangerous situation. So even though he was a pacifist, he was quite prepared to put himself again in the line of danger. He was quite an amazing man, and this man was my husband's grandfather on his mother's side. Now, he had a wonderful relationship with his grandfather, saw him as he was growing up, but the family split as families do, some to Spain, some to England, some to Canada, some to Australia, some to France, and dispersed across the world and lost contact with each other. Sisters didn't see sisters, cousins didn't see other cousins. The family was split up, as happens to lots of us these days. We have busy lives. When we do have time apart from our jobs, getting in touch with someone that maybe is 3,000 miles away possibly isn't a priority. Anyway, my husband was contacted via his Facebook page by his cousin, who he hadn't spoken to for something like 50 odd years. And it was about the grandfather, their fellow grandfather that they had in common. And there's a thing going on called Living Speaking History, and it's trying to get together pieces of history while people are still here to talk about them. The people that are still alive that were around during the First World War, the Second World War, during the major things that happened in the last century and even the century before that. And my husband managed to dig out some photographs he had of his grandfather in uniform in the First World War, and some medals and various other bits and pieces. And through this, he's passed this on to his cousin, who's in, I think it's British Columbia in Canada. So thousands of miles away, and they're giving talks and contacting, and the situation is that the grandfather and his life and his amazing life and the amazing things he did are being talked about thousands of miles away and are being kept on record. And this has come through social media. The contact between the two cousins, who are both grandchildren of this amazing man, are actually getting together through Facebook, and that was how they found each other again. How would they have found each other? It would have been very difficult. Family connections had been severed and lost and dispersed, as I said, as they are. And how many of us have situations like that? So through Facebook, through social media, this wonderful situation has arisen where this man's life can be celebrated, his bravery, and his voice can be heard all these years later, after he's passed away, through the lives of his grandsons that live thousands and thousands of miles apart. Now, there are so many positive aspects of social media, and we tend to concentrate on the negative ones, but there are positive ones, and especially within a community. We live in Marbella. You can live here, and yes, there's lots of places to go out, but to find those places where you might need more company, Facebook and social media are brilliant places to look. AAA, we have Lily here from AAA. You can contact them through Facebook, through social media. Many other organisations, Costa Women is on the internet, Internations on the internet. All these things that can come to these really positive things that can enrich our lives and enrich our sense of community are there on social media. So it's not always a negative thing, and I think you'll agree with me that it's a rather lovely story that someone's life's being celebrated through such a thing. Thank you very much for listening to that story. I found it quite moving. I hope you enjoyed it too, and I'll speak to you again soon. Thank you very much, and it's bye from me, Amanda. Bye bye, Marbella.
We're spoilt for choice of where to go out of an evening to wine and dine. However, due to the very strict drinking and driving laws and the fear of those controls, we frequently stay very close to home. Now, our Lily's been wanting to go to the much acclaimed Takumi for a while, but she lives in Alveria and that's the centre of Marbella. But thanks to the new Safety First policy by Linea Director, she decided that she would venture out because if she needed to, she could put the policy into practice. And that's exactly what happened. Lily and Tom had an absolutely fabulous dinner at Takumi, so much so that when it got time to go home and Lily realised that her one glass of wine had already probably put herself over the limit, they decided to stay and carry on enjoying the evening, knowing that all they had to do was ring Linea Director's special number for their Safety First policy and they would send a taxi at no charge to pick her and Tom up and take them home back to Alveria, and at the same time, as Lily wanted, their car was taken on a tow truck back home as well. Now, why does Linea Director offer this free extra service included in their policy? Well, prevention is certainly cheaper than cure, and they want to make sure that they live up to their name, putting your safety first and catering to expats' needs. This policy is only available to expats with their NIE, with their residency number, and only for the province of Malaga, but you can use it up to 4 times a month. All this is in addition to the special features that Linea Director already offer their clients. As a Spanish company, they cater to all the legal local laws that are necessary when driving in Spain. They also have a fleet of tow trucks, mechanics, hotels, lawyers, anything you need to make sure you are safe and truly covered. All the documentation is in English, they have helplines in English, so everything is easy to understand. Linea Director really is putting your safety first. If you'd like more information on insuring your car with Linea Director, you can call them on 952 14 78 34. That's 952 14 78 34, and they'll answer all your questions in English. And of course, you can go to the website www.lineadirector.com.
Hey, hey.
Last week, I picked up myself one of these in black. I like it so much, I can't resist. I'm going to take a few more. And it's perfect for me. I'm really not into shopping, but to come to a place like this, if you want to do a yoga class, you can pick up your clothes here. I mean, what more could you ask for? They make it so easy for us to start being active, getting involved without having to think, oh, I want to do something, I'm going to go shopping. No, it's here, and it's really, oh, they got it in blue. Makes life very simple. Well, that's it for this evening. Take care of yourselves, be nice to each other, and we'll be back again at 8 p.m. for another Marbella Now. And remember, in the meanwhile, from our website, MarbellaNowTV.com, you can look at recordings of the show, of our radio program, and also my column in the Euro Weekly News. Hasta luego.